While this podcast isn't rated explicit, the content may not be suitable for younger listeners. Welcome to Sex for Saints, the Christian couple's guide to great sex. I am your host, certified sex and marriage coach, Amanda Lauder. This is episode 342, Rekindling Love and Attraction. Welcome to Sex for Saints, a podcast for Christian couples. My goal with this podcast is to help enlighten, educate, and inspire you to understand yourself, your spouse, and your sexuality better. I talk about sex in a way you probably haven't heard before. I'm bold, I'm direct, but I keep everything in line with my strong Christian values. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's podcast. Guess what the number one thing is that people Google that bring them to my website? I'm not attracted to my spouse. Now, I addressed this originally back in episode 72, a long time ago. So I thought it was about time to address it again. Relationships are really complex, and we all go through various stages and challenges over the years. Every marriage does. So falling out of love or losing attraction to your spouse is a common experience for many couples, even though it's just not talked about very openly. So if you're feeling disconnected from your partner, it doesn't mean the relationship is doomed. It just means it needs some attention and some effort. So let's first talk about why this happens. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why someone might feel like they've fallen out of love or lost attraction for their spouse. It typically doesn't happen overnight, but is a really gradual process that has a lot of factors. Life happens. Kids, careers, stress, changing bodies, and what used to feel maybe effortless now requires a lot of intention. Attraction and love aren't static. They evolve and require nurturing over time. So one of the most significant factors is feeling disconnected. And that's emotional disconnection or even physical disconnection, physical distance. Maybe you're not spending as much time together, or when you are together, it feels like you're just going through the motions. Life's demands can leave little room for the romance and passion that once defined your relationship. For example, after years of being focused on kids and work, you might find yourself saying, "We're like roommates. We don't even talk about anything except for schedules and logistics." That's what I call the business of marriage. This emotional distance can start to feel like you don't know your partner anymore, which naturally affects attraction. Another really common reason is unmet needs, whether it's emotional, physical, or even sexual. If one or both partners feels like their needs aren't being met, it's easy to start pulling away. Now, I am not saying you can say, well, you're not meeting my sexual needs, so I'm going to view porn or go elsewhere, okay? I'm not even saying that sex is a need to survive, but it is often a need for many for a thriving relationship. So if you are feeling that needs aren't being met in your relationship, what you want in a relationship, then you can feel that emotional disconnection. So a wife might feel emotionally disconnected because her husband isn't making effort to connect on a deeper level. And then she might feel like she's less attracted to him physically. And likewise, if a husband feels like his sexual needs aren't being prioritized, he might start feeling frustrated, which can create emotional distance. Another reason is just changes in identity. So as we grow and change, so do our identities. And sometimes our partner's growth or lack thereof affects how we feel about them. Perhaps you've been working on personal development, growing emotionally, spiritually, or physically, but your spouse hasn't been on the same journey. Or maybe one spouse has had a faith transition. Right? So it's easy to feel disconnected when you feel like you're evolving and they're staying stagnant. So how does this affect men and women differently? Well, for women, attraction is often closely tied to emotional connection. So when women feel emotionally distant from their partner, it can affect how physically attracted they are. Women can often carry more emotional labor in relationships, managing the household, kids, work, and other responsibilities. And when they feel unappreciated or unseen in this role, it can impact attraction and love. A woman might think, well, I've gained weight. I don't look the same as when we got married. And these self-perceptions can cloud her ability to feel desirable, which in turn affects her attraction to her spouse. So when she's feeling insecure about herself, it can also hard to be open and vulnerable in a romantic relationship. Another common thought for women is, he doesn't make me feel special anymore. So if the emotional connection has faded, she might find herself less attracted to her partner because for many women, love and attraction are tied to how cherished they feel. Now, if the only time you're spending time with your wife and trying to connect with her is when you want sex, she's not going to feel cherished. And that is in turn going to relate to how she looks at you and if she is emotionally connected to you and wants to be sexual with you. Now, men, on the other hand, men might see their role in the relationship differently. So many men feel as long as they are providing, whether financially or by helping around the house, that should be enough to maintain the bond. Men may not always recognize that women need that emotional connection and desire beyond just the practical aspects of the relationship. So a common thought for men might be, I'm doing everything I can. I'm a good provider. I'm helping with the kids. I'm doing chores. Why isn't she attracted to me anymore? Or why doesn't she ever want to have sex with me? And I get it. This can be kind of confusing for men as they've often equate providing with being a good partner. But attraction isn't just about being helpful. It's about the emotional and romantic connection too. So in some cases, men might fall into this nice guy trap, thinking that being agreeable and accommodating is the key to keeping the peace. While being kind is essential, women also need to feel a sense of masculine presence and strength. If a man is overly passive or disengaged, it can dampen her attraction for him. Hey listeners, if you're ready to transform your relationship and take your intimacy to the next level, it's time to check out coaching with me. Whether you're looking for personalized coaching in my women's membership, one-on-one guidance for men and women, or couples coaching, I have options designed to support you. And if you've looked into couples coaching before, now's the perfect time to revisit. I've lowered my prices, making it more accessible than ever. Don't wait to create that connection and intimacy you've always wanted. Learn more at amandalauder.com. So we've talked about some reasons why this might have happened. So what do you do? If you realize that you've fallen out of love or lost attraction to your spouse, it's really important not to panic. Okay, this is an opportunity to reflect on your relationship and figure out what's really going on. So step one is to talk about it. Okay. Open communication is the key to any successful relationship. So rather than keeping your feelings bottled up, share them with your spouse in a kind and non-blaming way. So instead of saying, I don't find you attractive anymore, or I've never been attracted to you, that can be hurtful, right? Try saying something like, I've been feeling really disconnected lately, and I think it's affecting how close we feel. I miss the way we used to connect. By framing it as a shared problem rather than placing blame, you can invite your partner to work on the relationship with you. Step two is to identify the root cause. So is the loss of attraction really about your spouse? Or is it more something about yourself? Maybe you've let go of self-care, or perhaps stress and exhaustion have dulled your interest in sex. It's crucial to take a step back and consider whether external factors like stress, body image, or resentment are influencing how you feel. Step 3 is, what if your spouse isn't taking care of themselves? So this is one of those really sensitive issues. If you feel like your partner has let themselves go, whether physically or emotionally, that can be really hard. Attraction can be impacted when a partner neglects their health, their appearance, their self-care. So addressing this without coming across as superficial requires a balance of empathy, honesty, and focusing on underlying concerns rather than just appearance or habits. So I suggest focusing on health and well-being. Okay, not just appearance. So when we're discussing self-care, frame it in terms of overall well-being rather than just the physical appearance. Your concern should come from a place of love and care for their health, energy levels, and emotional state. For example, instead of saying, "I wish you'd lose weight," try something like, "I've noticed you seem really tired or stressed lately, and I'm worried about how it might be affecting your health and happiness. Is there anything I can do to support you in feeling more energized and taking care of yourself?" This way, the focus is on their well-being, not their physical appearance. And by shifting the conversation to how they're feeling, both emotionally and physically, you might make it less about the superficial attributes and more about the overall picture of health. The second is to express it as a shared concern for the relationship. So sometimes when a partner isn't taking care of themselves, it can affect the relationship dynamic from emotional connection to sex and intimacy. So addressing it as something that impacts both of you makes it a shared concern rather than a judgment. For example, "I love you and I want us to both feel good in this relationship. And I've noticed that lately we haven't been connected. And I wonder if some of that is related to how we're both feeling about our health and energy levels. What do you think?" This opens up a dialogue that includes both of you and avoids making it seem like the issue is solely theirs. It emphasizes teamwork, which can help your spouse feel supported rather than criticized. The third thing is to acknowledge that self-care is personal. So we need to recognize that how someone cares for themselves is a very personal thing, and your spouse may have different priorities or reasons behind their current habits. So instead of assuming they're neglecting self-care because they don't care, try to understand what might be going on underneath the surface. So you might say, "I've noticed that you've been doing some things that you haven't been doing some things that you used to enjoy, like going for runs or cooking your favorite healthy meals. Is there something that's going on with you that's getting in the way of taking time for yourself?" Now, your spouse might be struggling with stress, with burnout, or even depression. And that can make self-care harder. So a compassionate approach invites them to share what's going on rather than feeling attacked or judged. The fourth thing is to set an example, not a standard. So if you're committed to taking care of yourself and making healthy choices, share that journey with your spouse rather than expecting them to match a standard. Lead by example and invite them to join you in activities that promote well-being rather than pointing out what they're doing wrong. For example, you could say, "I've been trying to prioritize my own health lately, like going for walks or cooking healthier meals. I'd love it if we could do some of those things together. It would be a fun way to spend more time with you and we could both feel better." So when you position self-care as something you're doing together, it feels less like a criticism and more like an invitation to connect. And this can help your spouse see it as a positive step, not something they're failing at. The fifth is to approach the conversation with empathy, not judgment. So before bringing up this topic, ask yourself why it's important to you. Are you worried about their health, their emotional well-being? Or is it primarily about how you feel about their appearance? If it's the latter, it's crucial to examine your own feelings and expectations to ensure you're coming from a loving, compassionate place. Once you've reflected on that, approach the conversation with empathy, acknowledging that this might be a sensitive topic for them. So you could say something like, "I know this might be a little uncomfortable to talk about, but I want to have an open conversation with you because I care about you. I've noticed that you don't seem like yourself lately, and I'm concerned about how it might be affecting your overall well-being. I'm here for you. and I want to support you however I can. Approaching the subject with empathy signals that you're not there to criticize, but to help and understand. And this can make your spouse feel safe enough to open up and tell you about what's going on for them. Number 6 is don't make it all about sex or even attraction. While it's natural that your spouse's self-care habits might influence your level of attraction, it's important not to center the conversation entirely around sex or physical attraction. That can feel really superficial and lead to defensiveness or really hurt them. Instead, focus on the bigger picture of your spouse's mental, emotional, and physical health. This frames the conversation as being about your connection and shared well-being, not just their physical appearance. And number 7, be patient and supportive. If your spouse isn't taking care of themselves, it's likely due to deeper reasons: stress, fatigue, emotional struggles. Changing habits, especially when you're feeling overwhelmed, can be very challenging. So be patient with them and offer ongoing support rather than expecting immediate change. By offering support and acknowledging that it's a process, you help take the pressure off. This makes it easier for your spouse to consider making changes because they know they're not doing it alone. Hey there. I have a fantastic Black Friday offer coming your way, and you're going to get the early scoop. From Monday, November 25th through Monday, December 2nd, you can join my Embrace You Elite Society membership for only $5 for your first month. That's $5 to dive into exclusive content, live coaching, and connect with a community of women just like you. After that, it's just $49 per month to keep going strong. And for engaged couples, my Engaged Couples course will be available for only $49, a one-time opportunity to lay a foundation for lifelong intimacy and connection. So mark your calendars because this Black Friday week special is too good to miss. So now let's talk about how to rekindle that love and attraction. The good news is that you can rekindle it with intention and effort. So here are some actionable steps to get back on track. Number 1, prioritize time together. One of the most significant ways to reconnect is by making time for each other. In the busy seasons of life, it's easy to lose sight of spending quality time as a couple. So start with small, consistent efforts like a weekly date night or 30 minutes of uninterrupted time before bed to catch up and talk. The second is to rebuild emotional intimacy. Many times a lack of attraction stems from a lack of emotional connection. So start building emotional intimacy by having more meaningful conversations. Share your thoughts and feelings and vulnerabilities with each other. The third is physical touch. Non-sexual physical touch plays a big role in maintaining that physical attraction. Simple acts like holding hands, hugging, or even sitting close together can reignite those feelings of closeness. Number 4, try new things together. Sometimes we lose attraction because we just fall into routines. Trying new activities together can help bring back excitement into the relationship. And number 5, focus on self-improvement. One of the best ways to enhance attraction is by focusing on yourself. When you're the best version of yourself, physically, emotionally, and mentally, you'll naturally feel more confident and attract your partner. And number 6, be patient and persistent. Rebuilding attraction takes time, especially if it's been lost for a while. Don't expect immediate results, but with consistent effort, you'll start to see progress. So falling out of love or attraction doesn't mean the relationship is over. It's a sign that things need to be nurtured and tended to. Relationships, just like anything worthwhile, take effort and care. But with open communication, small, consistent efforts, and a commitment to growing together, you can reignite that love and attraction with your spouse. All right, my friends, that's all I have for you today. Thanks so much for joining me. Remember, love is a journey, not a destination. Stay committed, stay passionate, and stay connected. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Like what you're hearing on this podcast? Make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Don't forget to leave me a review and share it with your friends.